All right, we are going to start with breaking news here. A large magnitude 7.3 earthquake just struck off the coast of Northern California. This map here, provided by the U.S. Geological Services, shows just how far off it is from the California coast. Now we're going to bring in our Brenden Mincheff to give us the latest. Hey, Brenden.
Yeah. Hey, everybody. Tracking the breaking news. That tsunami warning's out. You may have gotten a shake alert. Shake alerts looks like they've gone all the way down, been issued all the way down towards Fresno, Tulare, and then up into the far northern part of the state. There has been shaking reported into Butte County. We've gotten reports of some lights shaking in Butte County. Now, the important thing is this was a 7.3 magnitude earthquake, about 60 miles off the coast. You see it there where the shaking has been. We got Rob up there in the back updating our earthquake maps for us. 7.3 earthquake, about half a kilometer deep. That is an incredibly shallow earthquake, and these are the types of earthquakes that can cause the tsunami waves. And so we do have that tsunami warning, which is issued from the coast of Oregon. You see it there, everywhere in red. Coast of Oregon, down Cape Mendocino towards Fort Bragg, also down through the San Francisco Bay Area, all the way into Santa Cruz. Now, this tsunami warning is going to continue to be updated. This is not something that gets issued and then left alone. This is something that seismologists continue to look at and update as we get more info and the earthquake waves go through the seismometers. Now, again, this is magnitude 7.3, so there are potential tsunami threats inbound for the Northern California coast. According to the U.S. Tsunami Warning Center, Fort Bragg in just 9 minutes could see some tsunami waves. Crescent City at 11:20, San Francisco at 12:10 may see some impacts from tsunami. Now, we don't know exactly how big these waves could be at this moment. We're not necessarily talking about massive waves. Tsunami waves could be a foot, it could be 2 feet, which in that case would obviously cause relatively minimal damage. But the the advice is, if you're in the tsunami warning area, if you're along the immediate coast, you evacuate inland, you get to higher ground above and beyond designated tsunami hazard zones, or move to an upper floor of a multi-story building. So again, if you are right on the coast, you are going to want to move inland. And again, this is a 7.3 earthquake. This is a very large earthquake that occurred maybe 60 miles or so off of Cape Mendocino, and you see that there. But again, it's not just the magnitude of the earthquake that we are concerned about. It's also the fact that it was half a kilometer deep.
So let's break that down. So it's a half a kilometer deep.
Yep.
It's not that far offshore.
No.
Does that all lend the possibility that there would definitely be a tsunami, or more likely a tsunami, since it's that close and that shallow?
The shallowness of it, yes, is what's important. If it's really deep under the ocean, the wave has more time to disperse through the water. But when it's real shallow, that shaking already starts shaking the waves at the surface when we're talking about half a kilometer is a third of a mile.
So how soon would we know? I mean, we have this happened a while ago.
Yes.
How long would it take for a tsunami to, say, get large and hit Santa Cruz?
Well, it depends on a few factors, and I am checking for the latest updated info right now from the Tsunami Warning Center. It depends, but like I said, that timeline right now from the National Tsunami Warning Center was giving us roughly until, let me double check the numbers here, roughly until 11:10 for Fort Bragg. So that's just 6 minutes we could start to see some higher waves along the coast. And again, this wouldn't necessarily be a 20-foot wave, but still a 3-foot series of waves coming through. It could be fairly significant.
Yeah, and a large stretch of the coast is being impacted by this, like just so many areas into Oregon, you said as well, right?
Yes, that's right. So this tsunami warning, you can see it in orange there. I know it's highlighted in dense fog, but the orange color is the important part. That goes all the way down the Oregon coastline, down through Cape Mendocino, down through the Bay Area, and San Francisco Bay also impacted by this. So you could see waves increasing up through parts of the Bay and even parts of the Delta there. You see the orange. Yeah.
So it says through Sunday, almost to noon, for a tsunami warning. I mean, we're sitting here Thursday late morning.
Yes.
So this is incredible how long the warning would be extended for, based on the fact that it just happened.
Yes, and this is not something that's going to last until Sunday. This is just, they're putting this out. They're giving themselves time. This is an event that lasts a matter of hours,
Right, that's what I thought.
Not days.
All right.
Okay, that is a very, very wide area. That is up in Eureka. Obviously, that's Northern California. For it, Brenden, to affect Half Moon Bay, Santa Cruz area, that's the southern boundary that you're talking about.
Yes, but it's important that this is not, tsunamis are not linear, right? It's not like tsunamis move just east-west or north-south. You got to think of it like a circle. The epicenter, like what we see on the maps in a second there, when it kind of circles around, we've got, the red circles off the coast. What that's showing us is that the waves propagate in a circular motion.
Is it like an outer band of a hurricane?
Somewhat like that,
Okay.
where the waves are going to move in all directions away from the epicenter. So even though this earthquake occurred off of the coast of Cape Mendocino, those waves are going to move southward down the California coastline in towards parts of the Bay Area, in towards parts of Monterey Bay as well. You see the circles there. Think of the earthquake like that circle where it's propagating out from the center. That's why we've got those extensive tsunami warnings. Talking specifically about San Francisco, Ocean Beach, very low lying. That's somewhere that if you want to be up off the coast of Ocean Beach at this point. The Embarcadero is another place, very shallow, right up against the water. The wharf, another place. You want to be kind of away from the water. You want to make sure you're scooting away, right? The advice is to find higher ground, get away from the water. Do not be right up close to it. And the other thing, too, is we talk about this with the hurricanes. And Walt, I know you worked in South Florida for a while, so you know about this. With storm surge, one of the things we see, the wind kind of blows the water out of the bay, and so it looks like the bay is emptying, right? So if you see water receding, if you see water being much lower than what it normally would be, that is a sign that the wave out there is generating strength.
Reloading.
Reloading, essentially, and you need to get away from the coast. Again, we're not necessarily talking about a 20-foot wave here. So, I mean, this is not necessarily like Indonesia 2004, but this is something where you need to kind of back off the coast and find higher ground. Better safe than sorry.
The magnitude for this is not the same as the Japanese earthquake and then the subsequent tsunami. It's not the same. However, there's a lot of water moving, and we are the closest to it.
And I do want to jump on that as well and say that the Tsunami Warning Center is tracking not just the coast of California and Oregon and CONUS, but also Alaska and Hawaii. And they do say that although there could be some additional waves of an insignificant height, there's no expected tsunami in Hawaii.
Okay.
So if you're in Hawaii or you have family out there, Hawaii should be fine. This is something right along the immediate coast that we're watching. I'm also looking at buoy data right this moment, and there is one station near the epicenter of the earthquake that is reporting some marginally higher waves. It is in technically tsunami mode, but the other buoys off the immediate California coast are looking good. I'm told right now we do have a look at San Francisco. If we can go ahead and pull that camera up, there it is. I mean, as you might expect, things.
It's going to be a
quiet.
while, I think, before we get to that. But it's a good cam to keep an eye on for the next half an hour, 45 minutes.
Yeah, that's right. And again, it's about 12:10 is when that Tsunami Warning Center is forecasting that we could see some higher waves. And I keep checking for more bulletins from the Tsunami Warning Center, and there's no more coming in right now, which I don't know if that's necessarily good or bad. But I also want to say we've had some more earthquakes occur here in Northern California, not just that now, let's see, 7.0 was the big one that was just off the coast. We've also had a 5.8 near Cobb, California, which is, more inland, North Bay area. And then we had another one, a 3.3 near Ferndale, and a 3.7 near Petrolia. So these are some aftershocks from the big one. I don't necessarily want to call it the big one with capital letters, but the bigger one that we saw off the coast at about, I don't know, Rob, that was about 10:45 or so that we got those shake alerts. And speaking of shake alerts, I do want to reiterate, a lot of folks got the shake alerts. We were sitting here in the studio about to get mic'd up, and we got the shake alerts going off, and we were like, oh my gosh, what is this? But we did not personally feel shaking here, I think, at ABC 10, but we did get reports, again, from the upper Sacramento Valley. I'm looking at the USGS map right now. Minor shaking, some reports from Metro Sacramento. Nothing in the San Joaquin Valley. Good part of the Bay Area, especially San Francisco, did have some very minor shaking, but some light to moderate shaking was felt up through the coastal range from basically Mendocino up towards Humboldt, as you might expect.
Where this video is coming from.
Yeah, again, Sacramento County here. So even if you didn't necessarily feel it, things that are suspended, like our lights in the studio, chandeliers at home, obviously waves in the pool. I mean, these are things that are a lot more sensitive to these types of quakes. And this was a good, this was a fair distance away, truthfully, from Sacramento. I mean, this was well off the coast of Cape Mendocino. You see it there. That star out there off the coast, that is the epicenter of this earthquake, the epicenter being the origin point where it occurred. So, but this was strong. And it's 7.0, again, for the folks in the back, maybe we can update that CG at the bottom, 7.0 magnitude earthquake now. As the waves from this earthquake kind of go around the globe, we get a better idea of what exactly the strength of the quake was.
7.3 or 7.0, it's still one of the strongest that we've seen here in a long time. Now, it has to be said, this area has been very active over the last several years, but usually you don't hear about it because these have been, although strong in the 5 to 6, even 6.5 range, they've been very deep in the ocean, and that really does nullify a lot of the impacts. But the thing that caught your attention, Brenden, right away is you said, oh my goodness, this one is very shallow. Yeah,
this was a very shallow earthquake, which is pretty different for a lot of these North Coast quakes. This was only half a kilometer deep. Now officially 0.6 kilometers. Essentially, that's a third of a mile. That's nothing when we're talking about undersea earthquakes and these types of shallow quakes. There's a lot more that goes into it. Truthfully, it's not just about shallow. It's not just about magnitude. It's about the type of earthquake, how the quake occurred. But anytime you get a shallow quake, it's kind of an immediate kind of light bulb that, oh, we need to be thinking about tsunami.
Also, we've been on the air here, right, like 23 minutes. So, Brenden, I know you said it at the top of the show, but what should people do if they are in those tsunami warning areas, if they're watching?
Yeah, for sure. And sometimes I think Fort Bragg is one of these places, there are sirens that may be going off when there's tsunami warnings issued, and that tells you to get off the coast. Similar to like a tornado warning siren. But if you're in a tsunami warning area, evacuate inland to higher ground above and beyond the tsunami hazard zones. So upper floor of a multi-story building. If you're right on the sand, somewhere like Ocean Beach, get up over that seawall, back into the parking lot, and then get in your car and drive a little further up the street there. Off the beach, away from harbors, marinas, bays, and inlets, like Rob was talking about a couple of minutes ago, those kind of narrow channels in some harbors, in some bays, inlets. Even if the general tsunami wave height is maybe a foot or two, when it enters some of those narrow passages, it could increase to 4, 5, 6 feet in height, just depending on how much force is behind those waves, how narrow the channel actually is. So it's all about getting off the coast, away from the immediate coast. Again, if you are stepping in sand right now, you are too close to the potential tsunami.
Would you be surprised, Brenden, based on, and Rob too, would you be surprised that since this is such a shallow earthquake, not far off the coast of Eureka, that something wouldn't happen? I mean, this is almost like, or is this just, it could or it couldn't?
There's so many factors that go into determining whether we see a tsunami or not. And it's not just how shallow something is. It's not just the magnitude of the earthquake. It has to do with the type of fault that we're looking at, the type of earthquake, whether it's a slip fault or something else. So we're just going to have to kind of wait and see. But certainly the shallowness of this earthquake is something that, like I said a minute ago, kind of immediately triggers a red flag where it's like, this is something we need to watch. Yeah, and I want to say the San Mateo County Sheriff's Office has tweeted, they have, or X'd, or whatever you want to call it, they've posted on X, formerly Twitter, update, this is what they said. They are saying, update National Weather Service reports no longer tsunami watch warning advisory, no need to evacuate. That is not true. The Weather Service is still advising people to evacuate. I'm not sure why this was posted. I'm not going to call folks out, but that is not true. The tsunami threat is still very much there. I am in the Slack page with the National Weather Service in San Francisco, and they are reiterating to media right now, quote, the warning is not canceled for the Bay Area through Santa Cruz County. Again, that is directly from the National Weather Service in San Francisco. So regardless of what San Mateo County Sheriff's Office has said on Twitter, unfortunately, that is not good info. The threat is still very much there, so get away from the coast.
From San Francisco Zoo, the zoo is closed due to the national weather emergency, the tsunami warning. Guests have been evacuated, animals secured, and staff have been moved to higher ground.
The zoo is near the Golden Gate Bridge, so
Which makes sense. Lower lying
Absolutely.
area. You want to get folks out of there. In terms of the seismic activity, although the 7.0 was the big one, that happened, again, not capital letters big one, but it was the biggest earthquake that we've had today. That one occurred about 10:45, but since then, we have had numerous aftershocks ranging from anywhere about 3.1 all the way up towards a 4.2. And this has all been within the last 20 or 30 minutes. So still very seismically active. Walt asked a great question during the press conference. Could these aftershocks, these smaller earthquakes that are occurring off the coast, could these amplify a tsunami? Could they make a tsunami more likely? And the answer is no. It was very specifically that bigger earthquake, the 7.0, is the one that triggered this tsunami warning. Jordan, you're showing me the San Mateo County Sheriff's Office has since updated their post saying, yes, okay, so they've corrected themselves. The National Weather Service has reissued, which is actually incorrect. It's been in place the whole time. But the National Weather Service continues the tsunami warning. Expected arrival 12:10. Avoid beaches and coastlines. That is good info. Avoid the beaches. Avoid the coastlines. Move to higher ground immediately. This is not a time to sightsee. Okay, again, like we said a few minutes ago, by the time you see the tsunami, it's kind of like a tornado. By the time you see it, it's too late. You need to be to higher ground.
I don't want to be that person, but the evidence is there of people that all of a sudden realize I need to get away and there's not enough time.
And I mean, I think we've all seen this too, where, we're on the beach. And that was interesting. I did not see the warning populated there. I wonder if it has since been lifted. It looks like it may have been lifted. We will wait to get confirmation on that. But back to the wave thing. If we're sitting there on the beach, you see the waves kind of rolling in, and then right as they hit the sand in the bank, they kind of splash up and they add another foot or so on. If you guys want to carry that through, I'm going to go ahead and double check on this Tsunami Warning Center.
It's amazing, Brenden, what kind of heads up we do get now.
Okay.
Because this wasn't the case many years ago. All right, we're back up in the KGO chopper.
And it is canceled. So that tsunami warning is now over for the coast of California, Oregon.
Okay.
No tsunami observations are available to report. This is all coming straight from the National Weather Service and the Tsunami Warning Center. Again, no tsunami observations to report. They are advising that you wait for local emergency officials to reoccupy the evacuated areas, the hazard zones, just to be absolutely sure. But they reiterate no destructive tsunami has been recorded. So this is a best case scenario.
Okay, there it is. The tsunami warning has been lifted, as Brenden just mentioned, and that just happened.
Just now, like right as we were talking, it was just lifted. That was 11:54. So if we can take that CG down maybe, because there is no longer a tsunami warning after that very strong
earthquake. Look at that.
earthquake.
People back in the control room. I mean, you're directing the show from out here. I've been accused of that, and not in a good way.
I just want to point out one quick thing. If you may be thinking that our language and our intensity and all of that was way overplayed because, quote unquote, nothing happened, folks, let me tell you something. There are lots of people that did not have a second chance in Japan, Southeast Asia. When these things happen, they move at hundreds of miles an hour. You get one shot to warn people to get out of there. The action that you need to take is relatively easy. You just need to get to the highest ground possible. Like you said, Brenden, that way you guarantee your safety and others. There is no debating in the middle of something like this. You have to get the word out early. You have to get it to as many people as possible. You need to take to the media to let everyone know that this is a clear and active threat, and we are monitoring things until the threat is over. And it seems like that is where we are at the moment.
And the Weather Service and the Tsunami Warning Centers did a terrific job with this one. Again, 10:54, we got that shake alert. Or excuse me, about 10:45, got that shake alert, and it was only half a kilometer, a third of a mile deep in the ocean, which immediately is a red flag for potential tsunami effects. They put that warning out within like 5 or 7 minutes of the initial earthquake, and it kept folks safe. And to Rob's point, you only get one shot at it. There's no respawns, there's no starting over, there's no do-overs. So if you only get one shot to protect your life and the loved ones around you, then you got to take that shot and don't look back. And so, maybe your day was briefly impacted because you had to get off the beach, you had to stop surfing, you had to, leave where you were having lunch. But ultimately, you're safe, and you will get to go home later tonight.